Hi, I'm Chris Leader. I'm the president of Leaders Edge Training, and I want to welcome you to our monthly tips. I hope you're going to enjoy them. Feel free to forward them on to anybody on your contact management system. Hi, and welcome to this month's real estate tip. The tip really is about the fact that we're literally sitting on an acre of diamonds. There's business everywhere. There's an old fable that talked about a gentleman who owned a farm in South Africa. Actually, the farm was willed to him. And he sold the farm to go out in search of his fortune. He spent his entire life circling the globe looking for his fortune. And what he found, he never did find it. Eventually, he returned to his hometown only to find out the farm he sold was the largest diamond mine in the history of the world. You see, we're all standing right on our own acre of diamonds. I owned a real estate office for years, and I had a gentleman who came into my office. When I hired him, I thought I had found the next top producer. Not only was Andy well educated and had a business degree, he was young, probably at that time 28, maybe 30 years of age. He was tall, good looking. His father owned a factory in town and sat on the board of trade. And to top it all off, as I said, Andy was handsome. He wasn't just handsome, he looked like Tom Selleck. Now, Andy worked for me for a number of months. And within the first few months, I recognized that Andy had some shortcomings. Andy came into the office one day and sat down, plunked himself down in front of my desk, and he said, "You know, boss, things aren't going well." Well, as the boss, I can tell you, I knew that Andy wasn't selling any houses. Andy said, "I can't find a client know-how." And he said, "You know, things just aren't going well." And it was getting around lunchtime at this point, and I said to Andy, I said, "Look, why don't we do this? There's a little deli counter up at the end of the mall. Our office was located in the mall. I said, why don't we walk up, get a couple of sandwiches. You can explain to me about all the activities you've been doing to try to generate business." So as we walked our way to the end of the mall, to the deli counter, Andy told me about how bad things were and how things weren't working. When we got to the deli counter and we were ordering our sandwiches for lunch, I started talking to the lady behind the counter, and I quickly found out she was thinking about selling her house and buying a new home. Andy was continuing to tell me about how bad the real estate market was, and I took out my pen and paper and exchanged my business card and got her contact information and shoved it in my pocket and continued to listen to Andy tell me how tough things were. After lunch, we went down to the other end of the mall and we had a coffee, and we were sitting in one of the coffee shops. When the waitress came over to take the order for the cup of coffee, I said to Andy, I said, "Excuse me just for a sec." I said, "Excuse me, miss, I bet you would be old enough to buy your first house." She said, "Oh no, I'm still in college. I'm not ready yet, but my boyfriend's looking." I said, "Well, does he have a real estate agent?" And she said, "Well, no, nobody in particular." I said, "Do you think it would be all right if I contacted him?" She said, "That'd be great." So I was able to get her boyfriend's phone number, and with her blessing, I was going to reach out and try to connect with her boyfriend to see if I could help him find a house. I also convinced that waitress that afternoon to take a whole handful of my business cards and give them to everybody that came into the restaurant. You see, really what I'm trying to tell you, and Andy still never got what I was explaining to him, was that probably within 10 minutes of where you are right now, there's a husband and wife sitting down talking about selling their house. That afternoon alone, I walked out with at least 3 potential sales in my pocket. When you think about the fact that the lady behind the deli counter had a house to sell and she wanted to buy a new one, and the waitress's boyfriend wanted to buy a new house, that pretty much adds up to at least 3 ends at the very least. So I say this to you, take a look around, keep your real estate radar up. The lady in front of you in the checkout line in the grocery store, she may be thinking about selling. The person at the dry cleaners may know somebody who's thinking about selling. You got to engage people, you got to ask them, but understand real estate sales and the opportunities you're looking for are everywhere.